frames. There's a lot of people talk about frames and where they buy them. I know most of the Facebook groups and things, YouTube people, they all talk about Man Lake frames. Everybody uses Man Lake frames, and I'm sure Man Lake produces a really good frame. My personal preference of supplier for frames is Miller's B Supply in Wilkesboro. I've had my problems with Miller's in the past. If you look on Google, I wrote a pretty scathing review last year whenever I tried to buy nukes from them, and I will never try to buy Bs from them again. But that doesn't take away from the fact that they do have the best deal on frames in the market. I've not found another supplier out there that can touch their prices, and if there is one out there, then I would love to do business with them. But Miller's offers two different grades. They offer a grade 1, which is your premium grade, no flaws, and then they offer a grade 2. I personally buy the grade 2 because I'm cheap, and I don't see any problems with what they produce. When you buy grade 2, they give you some extra pieces in case you have some problems, but generally what happens with grade 2 is they've got knots in them or some little blemishes that don't really affect the performance. It just affects the appearance. And if you're trying to grow into a sideliner, or if you're a commercial beekeeper, then appearances really don't matter as much as performance. So I go with Miller's. Now some of their end bars, this was one of the worst end bars that I found. It had a big knot here. The knot did not go all the way through, but that was one of the worst ones. I didn't use this one. I swapped it out. Out of 1,100 frames that I just put together in the last 2 weeks, I probably had 3 or 4 pieces out of a frame. I think there was 2 bottom bars. One of them was this bottom bar. If you can see how it split right here. Ultimately, I think the bottom bar would have been fine, but they give you extra pieces, so I used them. I did not use this bottom bar. It was split. Some of the things you have is the holes in the end. If you can see this one, it's got 2, 4, 6, 7. Instead of the standard 4, it's got a couple extra holes. Again, not a big deal. This one was fine. I used those anyway. That doesn't bother me. On some of the ends of the frames, let's see if I can find one. Like this one, for example. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like got a chipped off angle there. It's not a sharp corner. It's been broken off for whatever reason. That's the only thing that I can see wrong with that end bar, and that does not bother me. Occasionally you'll have one where the groove is cut a little bit too deep and the bottom bar will set down not flush. Again, not a big deal to me. As far as price, I mean, that's the really big draw. If you don't mind the blemishes, these grade 2 frames, Miller sells them. If you buy 100 or more, you get them for $73 100, so it's 73 cents a piece. If you buy 600 or more, they go to 70 cents a piece, and if you buy 1,100 or more, they're only 68 cents a piece. So I bought 1,100 frames for $800. I mean, you really can't beat that. If you don't like that, if you want to go to the grade 1 frames, which are the ones with no problem, with no blemishes, no knots, and that are perfect, you can get those. 100 of them is 83 cents a piece. If you want to buy 600 or more, it's 79 cents a piece, and if you buy 1,100 or more, you get them for 77 cents a piece. Now, I've looked in the Man Lake catalog. I've got it right here. Looks like the cheapest you can buy frames is you can get them for 81 cents a piece, but you've got to buy 50 plus cases of 100, so you've got to buy 5,000 frames to get them down to 81 cents, and that's if you don't get the holes in the end bars. These automatically come with those. If you want the holes for whatever reason that you decide to use those, you're looking at 90 to 91 cents. I've got the Date Amp magazine. It's roughly the same. You can get close to the price on the Date Amp magazine, but you've got to buy economy frames, and those economy frames are still not really cheaper than the grade 1 premium frames that Miller's supplies. So Miller's Bee Supply is by far, in my opinion, the cheapest place to buy frames. They offer a tremendous product. I can't say anything bad about their frames. I've been using them for a couple years now, and that's the only place that I'm going to shop unless they really raise the price. The way I put mine together is I go to Harbor Freight. I buy 1/4 crown staples that are 1 inch and 1/8 long. You can get 5,000 staples for like $11. Another one of the cheapest places to buy staples. I put one staple on the top here, one staple on the other top, and then I put one staple on each bottom. I used to put a staple through this end opposite the cleat. I've quit doing that, and the primary reason is these frames, I have to pull so hard to get this frame to come apart with just this one staple that the last one that I did get to pull apart, I ended up breaking the frame. And I don't pry at the amount of force that I have to use to pull this thing apart. There is no way I'm going to use that much force when I'm working a beehive. Over time, I'm not saying that they won't, come loose. They may. But also over time, the bees are going to propolize all these cracks and joints of this frame as well. So if you guys are looking for a good place to buy frames, I'm sure Man Lake and the other suppliers are great. But Miller's Bee Supply is a company that not a lot of people talk about. If you go to their facility, it's not a big fancy facility. They don't send out catalogs. I've tried to get one. They don't send them out. The catalog they use in the store is old, and they've just scratched out the prices and rewrote the prices on it. But if that keeps the cost down of the product, by all means, I would much rather them not send out a catalog and me use their website and keep the prices low. But they're not really flashy. They're not a big company that everybody talks about, but they provide a really, really good frame at the best price that you can buy on the market. So if you guys are looking for frames at a good deal, I would definitely call Miller's Bee Supply. I don't know what their shipping rates are because I live about an hour and a half away, so I just drive there. But still yet, if you're buying a large quantity of frames and you're getting to save, like the budget frames for example, you're saving 20 or 30 cents a frame. If you start buying a couple thousand frames, then you're going to start saving couple $100. It may be worth the drive. So if you're looking for frames, Miller's Bee Supply.